What's good, people? It's Naths. Welcome to the video, and in today's video, as you can tell, we're going to be talking about the whole FaZe Tfue situation because, I decided I'm important enough to throw my 2 cents in. So yeah, here we go. So I'm assuming most of you already know about the particulars about this whole situation. You've probably seen the contract on Twitter or something, and you know why he's leaving FaZe. To, he wants to create his own competing organization. Basically, he wants drama alert is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I just thought I'd talk about it and kind of get into it, give my opinion, because I feel like I probably have a different opinion to most people. So yeah, just here we go. So where I stand on this whole Tfue FaZe clan situation is, I'm just gonna kind of give my, allegiance straight up. As I'm pretty much completely on FaZe's side. I do sympathize with Tfue in some ways, but really and truly, I'm completely on FaZe's side. And for me, it's not a case of, yeah, I'm a fan of FaZe. Well, I was a fan of FaZe quite a few years ago. I don't even think I'm subscribed to their channel anymore, to be fair. But it's mainly from just a completely a business standpoint is why I'm on FaZe's side. Because, a lot of people are sympathizing with Tfue because they look at the contract and the contract's terrible. I'll put up the splits now so you guys can look at it. But yeah, the only thing that's kind of the whole thing is pretty much terrible, to be fair. It's a horrible contract. The splits are terrible. Most of it's 50-50. I think even the brand deals are on 80% on FaZe clan's favor. It's a pretty terrible deal. But the thing is, right, and FaZe clan obviously have explained this. I think, the CEO explained this on Drama Alert and in the FaZe clan video. But this is it's a starter contract. It's something that they gave to Tfue when he first joined FaZe. And it's a starter contract, and I completely believe them because the contract is genuinely awful. So, and the only way you give someone a contract like that and they sign it is because it is someone that they're not really anybody. They sign to a big organization that they know will give them benefits, and they take a terrible contract like this. It's this is exactly what Tfue's done. Banks explained this. Everyone knows this. Tfue was nothing without FaZe. Before FaZe signed Tfue, he was no one. He was just a regular kind of streamer doing his thing. I think he had maybe 100 viewers at the time and things like that, but he was nobody in the grand scheme of things. And FaZe, I'll put up another graphic of his social blade here, but you guys probably already seen this before. He literally just skyrocketed when he joined FaZe, as you do, as anybody does really when they join FaZe. They are still pretty much the biggest gaming organization in the world. They're definitely the most recognizable. So this is what happens. And I think a lot of people, they are getting kind of defensive about Tfue, and I kind of understand it because when somebody that doesn't really kind of understand business, they look at something like this and they think, oh, holy crap, this is terrible, I feel so bad for Tfue. But when Banks and I think that the CEO of, well, one of the CEOs of FaZe, I think his name's Lee or something like that, when he says that they tried multiple times to revise the contract, and they showed proof of it, so I definitely believe that happened. And you have to think, I relate something like this to sports, and at the end of the day, it is esports. These guys are kind of considered athletes. They're on athlete contracts type of thing. And as more and more money comes into the sport, I guess things will change. But really and truly, when I equate this to sports, so if I look at football, for example, when Tfue signed to FaZe, that is almost like a youth player signing for the first team, the club, signing a professional contract, right? And that professional contract that the player signs is usually for £2,000, £3,000, £4,000. It rarely does it ever go above that, unless they're really, really good. But with that first professional contract is very, I think for most of them, honestly, it's in the hundreds. So I guess obviously it's different because these are splits, it's a different type of contract, but I think the situation is kind of the same. You take a contract that isn't the best, obviously I'm sure that youth player would want to be on 100 grand a week or something like that, but it's as you progress, as you get better in skill, that youth player would sign a 5-year contract, right? So say if they're 19 when they sign that professional contract, they're there till they're 24, but they're not going to stay on that. If they keep getting better and better and better, the club is not going to keep them on that 5,000 a week contract until they're 24 years old. If by the time they're 24 years old they're already a very good player, that's not going to happen. When they get 1 or 2 years into their contract, if they show that they're becoming a very good player, the club, because they don't want to lose them, the club will go, okay, cool, we'll give you, 50 grand, 60, 70,000 a week, because we know that you're a good player, and they know that you're going to become even a better asset in the future, right? And that is exactly what FaZe Clan would have done with Tfue, and we know that they've done this. So for me, that's where I kind of stand, why I'm on FaZe Clan's side, because as a organization, right, like as a club, you can't just let one of your star players leave to create another organization. That doesn't make any sense. It's like it just doesn't. Like, I mean, they were talking about if like LeBron was to leave his team. I know nothing about basketball. I don't even know why I'm bringing this up. But if LeBron was to leave his team and go create another NBA team, like they're not gonna let that happen, especially if they have a contract where there's 3 years on it. They're just not gonna let that happen. So I think a lot of people are, and don't get me wrong, I've seen some things on Twitter about FaZe Clan's explanation video, and I don't, the video was very manipulative, right? They did definitely try to play on people's emotions a little bit and say that FaZe are for the fans and things like that. And for me, I don't really like that. I would have rather them just kind of be like just really direct and be like, look, he has 3 years on his contract. He wants to leave so he can create another competing organization against us. And looking at his popularity and the type of pool that he has, that whatever organization he creates could actually be somewhat of a threat to us. So now that we know he wants to create his own organization, what business sense does it make for us to let him go and do that when we have a contract with him that's going to last 3 years? And why would we let him go? And that's exactly how, if I was in their shoes, I would do the exact same thing, because you can't just, at the end of the day, it's business. A lot of fans don't understand this, and I mean, it's not really their place to understand this, which is why this whole kind of thing shouldn't have really been brought out in the public in the first place. They've kind of been forced to say this, and I mean, for me, yeah, this is why I'm on FaZe's side, because you just have to look at it from a business standpoint. You can't just let your star player leave and actively compete against you. Like, it's again equating it to football. If Manchester United was to sell one of their players, they're not going to sell them to like Liverpool or Manchester City, direct competitor. Like, that rarely happens, and if it does, it was completely out of their hands. They couldn't do anything about it. It's the same thing. You just don't let one of your star players, or star even in like a regular business, you don't let one of your top executives leave to go and start another business that compete against you. If you have a contract that can stop him from leaving, you're not gonna get rid of that contract, and it just doesn't happen. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, I think it's an interesting situation, because I don't really know what's gonna happen from this. Like, if I was FaZe Clan, I just wouldn't give in to any of the pressure. I'd keep Tfue in his contract. Look, he signed it, what I'm saying, he signed the contract, he knew what it was. If he was smart, right, and if his dad was smart, and this is again, if you're ever in a position where you need like agents and things like that, don't hire family, because if his agent was smart, they would have signed the new contract, right? They would have made, like, because FaZe Clan was saying that they were offering him contracts but didn't take any money. If his agent was smart, they would have signed the contract, right? They would have tried to sign like a 1 or 2 year contract with them, and then, with the splits being better and things like that, they would have been able to, maybe even they would have given him a contract to go start his own organization underneath FaZe. Like how FaZe kind of started Red. I don't know if you guys remember that back in the day, something like that. But because they've already signed, like a 3 year contract with all these terrible splits, like, FaZe Clan, if they really wanted to be kind of malicious, and they would be well within their right to do this, we know that they haven't really acted on a lot of these splits in the contract. I mean, we can assume, I kind of trust Banks' word when he says this. They've only taken 60,000. If FaZe Clan wanted to right now, they could act on those splits, and they could take what he actually signed, and he would lose a lot of his money. So I don't really understand kind of why this situation has happened, because they're not just, I can't see how they're just gonna let him go, and so he's gonna have to stay, FaZe Tfue for the next 3 years, even though we know he doesn't want to be there. It's a strange situation. I don't know. I think, yeah, it's the whole situation is just kind of weird. I mean, I don't really understand why this whole thing has happened. Like I said, it's strange. It's really strange. I think Tfue has played this all wrong. Like, if he really wanted to, I don't know why the hell his brother came out and said that he wanted to create you know, another organization or anything like that. I mean, I'd assume FaZe kind of already knew that. I think from in this video they said that they kind of did realize that he wanted to maybe leave and create his own organization, which is why he wasn't kind of signing any of the deals. So yeah, I mean, you know, I guess I'll keep my eye on this situation. I think, you know, the whole thing is kind of just bizarre to me. Don't really understand it, I think. And another important thing, if FaZe lets him go, or they settle and, you know, kind of Tfue gets out of his contract, it will set a precedent, because this is the first time anything like this has happened in esports. And yeah, it will set a precedent to what players can or cannot do. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a contract. Once you sign a contract, you sign the contract. Like, you know, it's binding. Like, the only way Tfue gets out of it is if FaZe, by their good graces, lets him out. So, and I don't think they should do that, and I can't see how they would, to be honest. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Thought I'd yeah, like I said, give my 2 cents on it. I think my opinion is probably a bit different from a lot of people's, but yeah, I think this is just the reality of the situation. This is what kind of Tfue got himself into. Yeah, like I said, if he had played it smart, he probably would have signed a different contract with a different time length, you know, just to, you know, because it's stupid. The whole thing's just stupid, to be honest. I don't really understand it. So yeah, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.